Right now, we are turning the final pages of our free agency process and looking forward towards the draft. We're really excited about what we were able to do. We set this offseason with an intentional plan on how specifically we wanted to improve our team and the types of people we wanted to bring in our building. With that, I want to make sure I stop and thank our ownership group who, no matter what our planning is and whatever your best laid plans are, you need an ownership group willing to support you with resources and always on the phone. How can we help? All those different things. And really excited about what we were able to do. After 3 years, of our being here together, I'm really excited at our process, and I want to stop and really pay great gratitude to our staff, my executive staff, the rest of the personnel staff, our coaching staff, football operations staff. It's been incredible to see them become the foundation of our decision-making engine. It's been really great to watch and see. Special thanks to our pro group led by Sam DeLuca, Shane, Alex, Taylor, Sally. They do an incredible job for us setting the board, giving us options, really being the experts, the detail-oriented people who understand what we need to do, and kind of, our group sets the vision, but they're really the people who put a lot of substance to it. Rob and Emily, I'll always say up here talking about how great Rob and Emily are. Not just everybody looks at the contract structures and different things like that, and they deserve a ton of credit for that, but really it's the relationships. We can say we want a player, but it takes two sides. It takes an agent who knows what Minnesota brings to the table as a team and as an organization, and just also the upkeeping in those relationships and understanding, when they come to the table to negotiate, what they mean, how best to come up with solutions, and that's a great credit to them. Just through this process, we were able to add, to a core of a team that's won a lot of games over these past 3 years, and we're really excited about that. We wanted to build a type of team that could support a young quarterback who we're excited about being here, competing every day. We wanted to build the type of team that, you don't know what January's football is going to be like. You want to build the type of team that can win any type of game, and that's what we set out to do, and we'll continue to do so as the draft comes. So just looking forward to next season. Obviously, there's a lot of tough decisions, a lot of players that we weren't able to bring back, and those are really hard conversations. Getting out my texts and calls right now, but always want to make sure we express incredible gratitude to what those players have given to this organization, and we always wish them the best. But we're really excited about what remains. And with that, we'll kind of get going with draft meetings, player visits, all those different things, and look forward to the draft, and excited about adding the final pieces to our 2025 Vikings.
Kwesi, there's been a lot of talk about the quarterback situation. What are you guys doing? What are you guys not doing? Where do you guys stand right now with the quarterback situation? And you mentioned the building around a young quarterback. Is J.J. McCarthy the guy you guys think is going to be QB1?
You guys all talk in terms of QB1 and all those conversations, different things like that. When we pull the resources we did to draft JJ, and you go through that long process and all those things, I can't stand up here and say that's the outcome we want, and that's the outcome we're headed towards. At every checkpoint, whether it been the draft process or practice until the injury, or really the offseason now, he's met the bar. I mean, he's exceeded our expectations at every point, and so I don't have the ability to tell you what the future is, but I can tell you what I expect to be the outcome this offseason from the competition. But it's also our job to set up a quarterback room that's going to have be able to meet, have great ideas, and prepare whoever it is to play. But also provide insurance in case somebody needs to come in for a couple of games, and that's our job as a personnel department to look at all the options out there and make sure we're setting ourselves up for the best case we can.
There's also been a lot of talk about Aaron Rodgers. Can you clarify what your level of interest, if any, there is in him?
Yeah, and I understand that. Aaron Rodgers, this organization and is known for a long time on the opposing sideline, talking about a great player, a Hall of Famer, so I understand that. I'll always say it's our job as a personnel group to make sure we're aware of every potential option. And again, we're trying to make sure we solve for scenarios that we don't know could possibly happen. We want to make sure that there's competition in the room to make sure that, if you remember last offseason when JJ and Sam were really competing, that brought the best out of both of them. And so you want an environment that's like that, a supportive environment to also just challenge each other but grow and learn and all those different things. And so we're trying to solve for a lot of different things at once. And from all those conversations comes a list of names and maybe an order and an intentional plan on how to best solve for those things. So a player like him, he's always going to be in those conversations. But from our delineations at that time, we're happy with where we are going forward. But obviously the caliber of player and just all our situations, we had to make our considerations.
Is that to say that he's not an option
for this organization?
Right now, given all our scenario planning, we're happy with our room, and obviously we're going to talk a lot about JJ McCarthy, but Brett Rippon, who somebody we brought in last offseason, we thought made a lot of great decisions, quick decision making, processing, better athlete than people give him credit for, accurate passer. So we're excited about him, and we're always going to keep looking to see if we can upgrade that position, just like every other position. But right now,
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
You wouldn't consider Aaron Rodgers competition for JJ if you were to bring him in. Are you saying that would be the classification for a quarterback that you brought in, that it would be competition and not a person who would...
You want to solve for a lot of different things. You want competition. You want ability to play if they're not the starter, all those different things. You're just trying to solve for a lot of different dynamics. I'm not going to say that's specific to Aaron, but just generally what you're trying to accomplish in the decision.
Did you or Kevin speak with Aaron directly?
Yeah, so you're talking about a player that Kevin's known for a long time, and so when you have a relationship like that, I'm typically the type that's like, hey, whoever's got the best relationship, talk to him. And so Kev, he's a bit of a, if I'm like the maybe like the dork Elvis, maybe Kev's like the QB Elvis type of guy. He's got a lot of respect in that community, and he deserves it for a lot of great reasons, not just for the what he brings from a schematic standpoint, but just how he cares about players, how he cares about people. He cares about, a lot of times the environments around quarterbacks aren't really supportive to quarterbacks. And so for that reason, he's got a great relationship with a lot of these guys. And he's got a great relationship with Aaron. They've had a lot of conversations. Obviously, he looped us in, and we kind of met and go from there. It's a unique thing to talk about a player of that caliber, and I'm always somebody who wants to learn and grow myself. And so, just being involved in those dialogue was really special.
Were you expecting, as the offseason began, that he would be somebody you guys would reach out or speak with?
So, obviously we had we start the offseason. Obviously, Sam was still, a potential option. And then, Daniel was somebody that we brought in with potential. So he was in our conversations, but you're always trying to plan for a lot of different things. Again, I've named 3 players, but there's other players that are also in consideration. And you put all your options on the table, and you see what fits best for your scenarios, and you kind of go from there.
Kwesi, when you're having conversations with a player of his caliber, how do you set the parameters of that in terms of whether he wants to be assured of certain things of where he's going to be in the pecking order? I mean, how much of those conversations did you have with him in terms of what it would look like if he came in?
Yeah, our belief here is full transparency, both sides. I don't think it's wise from either party to show up here and have surprises. I think the players, we always encourage our players, agents, to tell us exactly what you expect from this opportunity, and we do not lie. We tell them, hey, we might do this, but we also might do this in the future, and just make sure you make that decision full knowledge based. So transparency is just the key to how we have those conversations always.
Question: why hasn't your deal been done?
Man, it's funny. I don't think about that very much. I'll be honest. I'm wired. This is probably the busiest time of year for myself and my staff, and so I wake up every morning trying to make sure the Vikings get to the ultimate goal I want to get us to. So when I somebody will say it in passing, I'll make sure I call Jimmy and ask him how it's going and all that stuff. But just like what we say with player contracts, it's a process. These things take time. A contract is a chance for people to come together at a table and find solutions for the things that they want to solve for. So that's what we do. I trust people to do that for me. I promise you I don't wake up thinking about that for 1 second. I wake up thinking about how do we improve this team, how do we beat the other teams in our division, how do we get to the playoffs, and how do we go further. It's one of those things. We're all aligned the same way. Myself, the Wilfs, the Vikings, my family, everybody is aligned. Whereas if I go out and do my very best and focus all of my being towards that, everything's going to work out. That's how I believe my life, and that's how I'll continue to believe.
What do you read into the fact that Kevin's deal was done right away and yours is not?
I don't. I just, if you've been in my office, I have a bunch of quotes I kind of live by, and, happiness is good health and a poor memory. I was a middle child. I just feel like you don't find happiness in life looking about what other people have and compare it to yourself. Every situation's different. I know the Wilfs value the things I bring to this organization. I know I love it here. We've been able to accomplish a lot of different things. Started my family here. Minnesota will be a part of my story forever. So I don't really think about those things, I'll be honest, on a day-to-day basis.
Is it odd, though, that you're planning and making moves for the future, whether the draft or free agency, and you only have 1 year left on your deal?
I think when you sit down in a conversation with me and interview me and you get to know me, the person I am, integrity-wise, I don't think you'd ever question whether I do the right thing by the organization for the future. And I think they continue to trust that. If you spend time with me every day, I'm not perfect. I have my flaws, but willingness to do the right thing by the organization is not one of them. And so I don't think they worry about that. I know I don't, because again, I plan to be, the person that's here when we ultimately accomplish our goals, and that's what I'm working towards.
So is the deal close then, though? Because at some point in time, just for the content, for the sake of the entire place here, it's going to become important. Do you have a deal close to being in place? Is it still at the start line? Where are things as far as you stand?
It's funny, with a player, if somebody asks me, a player agent asks me that, these things don't come in straight lines. They kind of come with, dribs and drabs, and then big discoveries, and then you're here, and then it's like building a house. A lot of the time takes, to build a lot, takes 90% of the time to build a lot of it, and the last 10%, how that goes. So I can't tell you exactly where that is. I wish I could give you a simple, clean answer. I know that there's positive dialogue happening with my representatives and theirs, and then me with them as well. Again, it's probably on me that it's not going quicker because, again, I wake up every morning focused on the things that I need to focus on to get this team to where they want to go. That mindset that it's my job to be the servant leader for them, that doesn't change just because a contract maybe has a year left on it.
With the quarterbacks, do you still plan or need to add another veteran before the offseason starts?
Yeah, we're looking at all our options. There's a lot of good players out there still. We've had the dynamic where we're trying to improve the team, but mindful of our compensatory pick situation and different things like that. So we're really just trying to be mindful of that and the right way to set us up to succeed, but also be mindful of all the different factors we have to.
How did it end with Rodgers? Was it his choice, your choice, that it wasn't going to fit?
I think we got to a place where we just said everybody was transparent, but right now we feel good about where we're going, and that's really how it ended. It's ultimately up to him. It's hard to talk about a player who's not under contract for our team and who plays for obviously isn't a member of this team. It's ultimately up to him what he decides to do with his future. But that's kind of where we left it. I know Kevin and him have a great relationship still. They'll still have a relationship. They'll keep talking. But right now, I'm focused on the two players that are in our room right now and my personnel process for going forward.
You talked a little bit yesterday about he hasn't been promised QB1 and doesn't want that. What have your conversations been like with him when you're talking to a guy like Aaron Rodgers? How much do you kind of feel out how he feels about other guys that may come into that room?
I don't know if it's. I actually asked Kev this before I came up here. Does anybody ever tell the quarterback they're QB1? I don't know how that actually works, but our conversations with him have always been about your development, you being the best version of yourself. So when you say feelings, I don't know if it's necessarily feelings. It's about what we think actually tangibly impacts him reaching the ceiling we want him to reach. All those dynamics that actually matter for him getting the reps, getting those different things because look, we're trying to win a championship, but that doesn't always happen in 1 year. We're trying to make sure that we're giving ourselves an op over the next how many years. And so to do that, we have to plan today, unknowing what's to come. And so a lot of that conversation just centers around that. Nothing more than that. Like obviously feelings matter. I'm not to say that they're not, but for us, it's really just focused on getting the best version of him, and then also what sets us up to succeed for the best window for us for a championship.
Kwesi, do you feel like you can see enough from him in the spring and summer to feel confident in him being the starter come training camp?
I'm only laughing because I'm a trader by nature, so I think at the end of the day, all you can do is look at the information you've given at the time you've been given it. And I would tell you that at this exact moment, he's passed every test with flying colors. So at that point, what else are you wanting to eat? That means you just won't be ready to make the decision. And I get that. This is a sport and this is a position where people want to see it first. You don't always get that opportunity. And so you have to go on what you know. And I know we're betting on his preparation, the person, the talent. But again, it's shown in every single instance that we've had it. And so I'm going to be comfortable with that in that place. I also am not the person who's out there. There's a lot of other people out there involved in that. But it's me specifically, yes. Kevin specifically, yes. These are things we talked about when we first got in a conference room in LA. We talked about how we evaluate quarterbacks, how we develop them, how we, a lot of that came from his personal experience and things that he believes have become my belief. So I think we're excited about where he is in that development, and we'll keep learning the information we get as it comes, and we'll make the decision we can at the time.
Kwesi, can you say definitively then the door is closed with Rodgers? It kind of sounds like ultimately it was his decision and we're still looking for a veteran quarterback. Can you say that door is?
I don't know that it was ultimately. I don't know that I said it was ultimately his decision. I don't want to make sure. I make sure that I think that I said that. Given where we are scenario-wise, we didn't think it was the right move at this time. It is also his decision to whether he signs with another team. Not that's ultimately up to another player. For me to sit here and say that anything's 100% forever, that's just not the job, right? We're responding to scenarios and different information as it comes. So obviously things can change, but right now we're really happy with our room and we're going to look to upgrade it in different ways. But for now, we're really excited.
Did you think of the way you were able to address both sides of the line of scrimmage, and then the forecast ahead looks pretty good for comp picks in 2026, even all the moves?
Yeah, again, it's setting out. That's really the job of leadership at my level, Kevin's level, Rob Brzezinski's level, is to set a vision, and not just look at how we need to look as a team, but hey, what's coming in the future, and how do we marry those two things together? And I set a course for the plan for this offseason, and some people look at you like you're crazy, like you want to get better, but also, and that those two things don't always add up. And again, great credit to our staff, our personnel staff, who has all those options and has it ready. And then the conversations we have, well, hey guys, if we do this, it's really this plus this versus that. And those conversations have been great. Over these 3 years, we've become a pretty cool think tank, and that's how those decisions come.
How many of your plan A's were executed, even going back to Aaron Jones a few days before free agency officially?
Yeah, a lot of our plan A's, but it's hard because it's almost like a play call. You have a package play. There's a play and an audible off of it. So if you don't get this thing, it's because you're really excited about these other three things you could get. So if I take your question the way I think you're asking it, we were successful in doing a lot of our planning, but some of that was related to, hey, we have this audible that we like almost as much as plan A.
Kwesi, what led you guys to Jordan Mason and the idea of pairing him with Aaron Jones?
Yeah, really excited. We got to see him play against us, obviously, and that kind of impressed us. And obviously, I've been in that building and know how they evaluate running backs, and then the tutelage he'll get with a guy like Bobby Turner, who's I think one of the best in the league, maybe one of the best the sport's ever seen at that position. And so those things kind of start ideating in your head, and then your scouts come and tell you, hey, he's an RFA or different things like that, and we talk through the dynamics of how that could work. And we're really excited about the tandem, the pairing, just the physical play style, really more of a 4-minute back. When he gets to the second level, he can do a lot of things with contact balance and different things like that. And Aaron's, actually for a smaller guy, runs pretty physical himself, really good in the passing game. So we just like the pairing. We want to be, like I said, we want to be able to win any game. And so if we got to run it 40 times, we want to run it 40 times with those two guys. And so we're just really excited about the pairing. And then, my experience with that front office, obviously, when it's time to make a transaction, we can be really transparent and honest with each other, and those deals happen that way.
Kwesi, how did you judge? There's several of these free agents are on the older side, 30, and had some injuries. And how did you guys go about that? Because I know typically you focused on the 26, second contract.
Yep.
So I'm just curious why the shift in approach.
It's obviously when you always prefer to have the longest runway, right? And so you always, when you're getting players, you don't just want them for what they are, what they could be. And so younger players typically, can be getting better, and you're buying them kind of at a place where they're arrow up still. With veterans, it can be a different situation where because of something, maybe an injury or an age, they're being discounted, and then they become valuable for that reason. So you're just really, it's always about a value creation type thing. Sometimes that comes from young, sometimes that comes from older. We do that, a lot of intense study. We've got a great football quantitative methods group with Chris French and Cole Bransford, and they do a great job really studying those things, studying, on average, when do certain things happen, when do they not. And obviously you don't live by those things religiously because not every person is the average person. What are their work habits? What is our building able to do? I think Tyler and his staff does an incredible job to get players to be healthier, better, more available than they've been at other stops. So a lot of that kind of goes into the calculus. We're always just trying to find value, and I think that can happen with younger players, but sometimes with older players. But it's also, to the previous question, it's planning for the future. It's, okay, well, if we do this move, we might need to do this move in a year or two. Can we set ourselves up to do that? Thank you, guys.